Everyone, here I'm back with a video lecture, and today we are going to discuss the Berg Balance Scale. Berg Balance Scale is basically a clinical assessment tool and also an evaluation tool used by a physiotherapist and there many healthcare professionals to measure a person's balance and majorly the risk of falling. So, it is basically used for older adults or commonly used for older adults, but also used for patients with neurological or musculoskeletal conditions or those recovering from stroke, Parkinson's disease, or any other injury. So, majorly, that doesn't mean that you just have to use these on older patients. Any of the patients that have any neurological or musculoskeletal conditions, you can use on those patients as well to check majorly the balance of the patient, as you know the name suggests you. So what is basically we are going to discuss here, or before starting the in-depth discussion of this topic, I'm telling you the basic of Berg balance scale. Okay, the basic overview. Majorly, the overview of Berg balance scale says there are 14 tasks that scores from 56 points, and every task scores from 0 to 4. That means there are 14 tasks. You have to just write it down on any of the paper and just uh, z- put a number from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just when you can perform any of the single task every time separately, you can just tick one of the um, number according to the patient condition. Okay, this is the basic simple concept how you can just do that. So time to administer is basically from 15 to 20 minutes. This is basically the standard, but it can depend on the patient condition as well. So zero basically indicates the item score basically zero indicates that patient is unable to perform the task. Okay, patient is completely unable to perform the task. That is called as zero score. And four basically simply means the completely patient is able to perform the task in a very safe and easy way. So that means that is patient independence. So what we are going to see, the basic equipments is just a chair or a stopwatch or a ruler or any of the step or stool, according to the that the condition or the environment you are checking the patient's balance. So work-balance skill is very an interesting topic and it is also very important. Many of the evidence says that this is very good tool to assess any of the patient's balance, but some evidence opposes as well. They say this is not the solely a good like you cannot just use the balance scale, work-balance scale solely or only to assess any of the patient's balance. You have to use many of the other tests as well at the same time, but simply says verbal skill is a very good assessment tool. So overview is that. Now starting from the scoring interpretation, okay, I'm going to give you a very good interpretation idea so you can never forget that how to score the basically the breakdown scale. Okay, why I am going to telling you the theory, because theory is very important. Before any of the practical work, you have to understand the basic concept of Bergdahl skill. Why you are going to do that, okay? And then you are going to see how you can basically assess the patient, okay? So what is basically the total score for the Bergdahl skill? As you know that 56, okay? So a score between 41 to 56 from here 41 to 56. Okay, completely you can say that the 56. If a patient range if from 41 to 56, that means the patient has very low fall risk. That considers a very good balance. Okay, majorly the patient's balance is very good because the fall off risk is reduced in this patient. So 41 to 56 indicates a low fall risk, suggesting a good balance. Scoring from 21 to 40, that is medium forest, is basically denotes a medium, as you know, that intermediate, or you can say that the middle of the balance technique, or you can say that the patient's balance is just near to the normal range. Okay, so it is not too bad but not too good balance. You have to work on this patient as you know as well. Okay, you cannot just leave this patient behind, you have to work on this patient as well. But low fall risk patients are usually considered normal. So not completely, sometimes the patient from 41 to 56 indicates a good balance, but some of components of those patients requires basic attention. Okay, so the for the ADL's purposes, and you have to work on these patients medium forest mostly. And the low, okay, according to the balance condition, this is the very low grade or worst balance, and patients for risk is very high. So it ranges from 0 to 20 on a scoring board, on a complete scoring board. Okay, it does not considered from any simple 0 to 4, 0 to 10. So basically, this is the basic ranges. As you know that low risk, low fall risk range from 41 to 56. Medium fall risk is basically 21 to 40, and 0 to 20 basically shows the high fall risk, and that requires a very, very, very significant interventions. So this is very important to understand that you have to work on every patient differently, cannot consider this as a standard. Some patients require, some task requires a different effort, so you have to work on that according to the patient's need and tolerance as well. So this is basically the scoring interpretation. Now we are going to the basic items, that how we are going to perform this BBS scale. So Bergvall scale basically indicates the 14 tasks. Okay, starting from 1 to 7, that is basically the tasks. um, Initial 7 tasks majorly covers the fundamental movements. Okay, that means sitting to standing, standing unsupporting, sitting unsupporting, safe transfers from chairs, standing with eyes closed, maintaining balance with feet together, and each with precise instructions for execution. Okay, to start any of the movement, the patient needs a proper instructions, but these are the basic, and you can say the initial or fundamental movements to understand what are the condition of the patient. Okay, starting from the first task, that is standing, sitting to standing, is basically shows the, or you can just tell the patient to how you can instruct the patient to perform this task. Basically, stand up without using your hands. So how you can just tell the patient stand up without using your hands, that means you cannot touch your hands to any part of the chair, and you cannot use your hands to, any of the objects for in front of you or anywhere. You can just put your hands on your chest, so you cannot touch any of the thing, and just stand up without using your hands. So this is the basic instruction you are going to give to the patient. Very easy way, sit to stand. Now the second component shows the standing unsupported. Okay, how you can instruct the patient? Stand for 2 minutes without any support. Okay, just simply stand feet apart, normal standing position. You don't have to work any hard. Just stand for 2 minutes and check on a stopwatch, or on a complete 2 minutes. Just done. So 0 shows patient is unable to perform, 4 shows patient is completely performed the task. Now the sitting unsupported shows the, okay, the third task is basically sitting unsupported. Okay, so how you can just instruct the patient? Okay, before starting sitting unsupporting, you can just perform the fourth task, standing to sit. Okay, just ask a patient to sit down safely in a very controlled manner, in a very safe manner, without using any of the support or any of the hands. Just put those hands on your chest and just sit down. Okay. Now, sitting unsupported, but you have to instruct the patient sit without any support. So that means you just don't have to uh, touch your back on the chair, and you just have to sit without any support for 2 minutes, like putting your hands on the side or any other way you can get the support. You just don't have to. Okay, just sit without any support for 2 minutes. So the task completed. 0 means unable to perform, 4 means completely perform. In between that, I am going to tell you later on, so don't get this disruption, or you just don't have to take attention. Basically, you just don't have to get into anxiety that you don't know what is between from 0 to 4. Okay, the fifth task visually shows the transfers. Okay, transfers majorly shows from one chair to another, okay, without using any arms or wrist. But sometimes patient may be able to use that arms to rest on the side, or just that arm rest as well. But it depends on the patient as well. You just don't have to consider that. But how you can say that move from one chair to another, that is basically shows the what that basically shows the patient mobility to transfer from one chair to another. So you can just instruct the patient, you can just move to the other chair from this chair as you want, without using your hand, or use your hands to hold any of the object. Depends on the patient as well. Now the sixth one is basically standing with eyes closed. Now what you are going to instruct the patient, stand for 10 seconds with eyes closed. Okay, just I put your hands on the eyes, or you can just close your eyes and just stand, simply stand for 10 seconds. You can just check the stopwatch and done. Now the seventh step, or you can say the seventh item in this, or seventh task, is basically standing with feet together. Stand for 1 minute with feet together. That means you have to, your feet needs to be together, and start for 1 minute, and after 1 minute you are done. So this is the seventh task. As we have discussed, these seven tasks are the basic fundamental movements. Okay, majorly checking the patient's starting balance, or for the precise instructions according to the previous skill. Okay, the next seven tasks, or you can say the later half of the Berg balance skill, focuses on more dynamic and challenging balances tasks. These includes reaching forward, retrieving objects from the floor, and basically turning movements, looking behind, 360-degree turn, and also at the same time single leg balance. To check for the single leg balance, what you have to do, stepping on basically a stool, tandem stand, or just standing on one feet. So these are the major tasks as we have discussed. Okay, as we are going to discuss here, the eighth task is basically reaching forward with outstretched hand. So reach forward without standing, without losing balance. Oh, sorry. Reach forward while standing without losing a balance. You can just stand up. Now you can just put any object in front of the patient and just instruct the patient to touch that object, uh, holding your hands on the straightforward way, and just touch the object, both hands in the forward direction, and just touch the object. This is basic instruction you are going to give to the patient. But many other ways, you can just assess through any of the tape or any other things to basically see how much stretch or how much the patient reach forward in that, and just wrote it down. Now the basically the next task is basically retrieving object from floor. That means just pick any of the object from the floor in that standing position. Just go in and pick any of the object. So that means this is the if the patient is able to completely complete this task, that is basically complete independence of the patient, shows the complete independence of the patient. Okay, now the 10th one was the turning to look behind. How you can just look behind? Turn hand and shoulders to look behind as someone is basically if someone from back is touching your shoulder and ask for anything, how you can just turn back? Okay, like that. So you can just turn head and shoulder back to look behind who is behind you. This is the way you can just turn to look behind on both direction. Okay, remember on both shoulders you have to perform this movement. Now the 11th part is basically turning the 360 degree. Okay, turning the 360 degree means complete turn, the complete circle of the person. You can just stand, you can just completely stand in normal position and just complete any of the circle in one that standing position. So this is called as like 360 degree turn. But from sometimes patient you can able to perform both sides turn, and sometimes you can just check on the one side, and if the patient is able to perform, that means that is patient is completely independent and easy to perform. Now the 12th one was placing alternate foot on stool. Now how you can just instruct the patient, like you can just tell the patient to step one foot at a time on a stool, one step up, then this step or this foot is going to down, and then the other one go up, and then this down, then up, then this down, then up, then the other down, then the other up, the other down, the other up. This is how you can just tell the patient to place one foot at a time on a stool or any of the step you have present in there. Now the other thing is you're going to perform is standing with one foot in front. Okay, standing with one foot in front majorly shows how you can just perform tandem stance. Okay, I am telling it to you. One foot in front of that toes of that foot, you can just place the other foot. As in a childhood, you are very okay. I am just giving you an example, a very simple example. The if you can just walking on any road and you see a straight line and you want to basically walk on that straight line, how you're going to straight walk on that, and you are just able to put one foot at a time on that line. So you can just perform one foot, then the other foot in front of that, then the other foot. This is considered as a tandem stance, and you just don't have to walk, you just have to stand like that. Okay, for 30 seconds, and this is basically the tandem stance. Now the 14th one was standing on one foot, balance basically as you know for basic punishment. So how you can just get the punishment, balance on one foot for up to 10 seconds and just do that on both foots and you're done with BBS. So these are the 14 items and these are very easy to learn. Just remember that how you are going to perform these complete movements, and this is how you can perform the BPS skill. So these are the 14 items. I hope you have learned this. So before ending these, I am just giving you a brief overview of all these. Okay. So just scroll back to, okay. Sorry for that. Just scroll it back so we can understand that. Okay. This shows that how you can just perform these tasks. Now, I am just giving it to you some of the examples in this picture. Okay. Now, what this basically shows the tendon stance. How this is how you can just place your foot. Okay. This is where you can see like the two feet in front of each other. Okay. This is how you can just pick an object. This is how you can stand with eyes closed. This is how sit to stand, stand to sit. Okay, this is basically shows one leg up, This is shows 360-degree turn, and this shows basically the overstretch of the hand or reaching forward step. So majorly these are some of the components. There are many other as we have discussed before. So hope you have understand those all. So performing the Berg balance skill clearly communicate the instruction. Okay, I'm just giving it to you all these steps to understand that how you can just explain to the patient, how you can just demonstrate, or how you can just take care of the patient's safety. These are very important steps. Okay, explain each task. Clearly communicate the instructions. If patient is not able to understand, try to communicate in a language that patient is basically understand in very easy way, because in certain regions their English is not clearly understandable, so that you just have to work on that. And second one was demonstrate if needed, like provide a visual demonstration to perform on yourself. Majorly I love to do that. So provide visual demonstration especially for patients with stroke or cognitive impairments, and just ask the patient to perform those things. Okay, now, third one, to ensure safety, maintain the constant vigilance and guard the patient throughout the assessment to prevent any of the falls, because the stroke patients, the cognitive impairments, the Parkinson's patient is basically are on the risk of fall. So during assessment and evaluation, remember to take care of the patient safety. Remember to stand on the side to take care of patient, or on the back, how you can just maintain the guard, or you can protect the patient to from fall, as you know that, or you can just give the patient to a safe environment. So, to effectively perform the work balance skill, it is crucial to explain each task clearly to the patient before they begin. Demonstration is very important, and safety precautions are must be strictly followed. Okay, from the healthcare professionals, it is very important, as you know that we are going to assess the patient's balance. So that doesn't mean patient is able to perform all the tasks. Some patients are just able to do one, two, three, or four tasks. Some are do all of them. So you need to understand that, and you need to take care of patients' safety at the same time. Okay, so prevent them from basically falling in front of you. So this is basically the scoring and interpretation, as we have discussed before. Score each item right after it's performed using a detailed guide. Okay, score guide basically, as we have discussed, 0 means unable to perform, 1 means okay, I'm going to tell you what was she says that 1, 2, and 3. 1 means needs moderate to maximal assistance. Sometimes patient need an assistant to get up from chair, or transferred from one chair to another chair, or maybe need your assistance, or maybe need any support from armrest to any table, chair, anything in front of them, anything. Okay, so number 2 shows need minimal assistance. Sometimes patient just need a small get up and need just a small kind of assistance. Third means independence with supervision. Now, independent with supervision means that you just have to instruct, but sometimes patient need the complete instruction, like how you can just perform like this, like this. You can just tell the patient, and patient may be able to perform that with the more clear supervision. Okay, four means just instruction, just give the instruction, and patient is able to perform that. That means patient is completely independent. Okay, calculate total. Sum the score of all 14 items to get the overall total. As you know that 56, and just check all what on what forest patient is present. Okay, interpret and plan. Use the total score to assess forest and guide treatment decisions. So, scoring the breakdown skills involve the immediately assigning a score to each item after it is performed. It is very important, as I have told you that this is very important step. Perform like after performing, you just have to from 0 to 4 complete task. A patient is able to completely independently perform or unable to perform. That is depending on the patient condition as well. So you just have to do all of these things. Okay. So scoring and interpretation means this. Now the one clinical tip, or you can just say the clinical tip I'm going to give it to you, is that it is not only the assessment tool or the initial assessment tool. Of course, it is used as a baseline measure as well, but it is also used for to monitor improvement. Like repeat after intervention, you just have to give treatment to the patient and then track the progress. Like repeat after any intervention, like you have get the initial assessment, now you are going to give treatment to the patient for approximately 2 weeks, and then after that you just again check the bbs, like check the track progress. Now, another thing is combined tools. You just have to use any other assessment tools so to get the complete balance evaluation or comprehensive balance evaluation. Okay, so these are the major clinical tips to understand that you just not have to um, use this for initial assessment. You also do that for to monitor improvement to subsequent evaluations, and you know that it can help you to make the baseline, then helps you establish a starting point, while repeating it after intervention allows for effective monitoring of patient improvement, like these conditions. Okay, you can just use with other tools, timed up test and go test, other tests. So you can use those tests to, or use with other tests to understand, okay, this is how the balance risk is present in this patient. So this is all for today, and um, we have discussed the balance bearing skill. If you have any query, you can ask in the comment section. And thanks for watching. So if you have any query, you can